A very good day to you and welcome to African Science and Innovation History. I am Chinatu Oji and this is Idea TV. Of course you know what it is already. On this program we take you through journeys around innovation and creations in the science and tech world. And today we'll be looking at the history of light. It's about a journey through shadow and brilliance. I want you to do something for me today. But before that, let's go on a break. Now here is what I want you to do for me. Close your eyes right now. Yes, go ahead. I want you to do it for about 3 seconds. Have you noticed something? What happened? The world disappeared. Everything you know, everything you can see, everyone around you gone in an instant. Now, can you open them again? It all floods back. Now, that's the power of light. It doesn't just let us see the world in many ways. It creates the world as we experience it. But here's what's truly strange. For most of human history, we had absolutely no idea what light actually was. We used it, worshipped it, painted with it, built our entire civilizations around the rhythm of its presence and absence. Yet, light remained the universe's most beautiful secret, hiding in plain sight. For thousands of years, light remained divine. The Egyptians worshipped Ra, who sailed across the sky in his solar bark. The Greeks imagined Helios driving his chariot from east to west. Light was godly, mysterious, utterly beyond human comprehension. It simply was. Then something remarkable happened. Around 500 BCE, humans began to wonder if perhaps they could understand light without invoking the gods. The Greek philosophers started asking new kinds of questions. Empedocles proposed that vision worked like a lantern, so our eyes sent out their own light to illuminate objects. It sounds strange to us now, but think about the logic. When you close your eyes, the world goes dark. Doesn't it seem like your eyes are doing something to create that vision? Well, Plato developed this idea further, suggesting the light from the eyes mingle with daylight to create vision. It was wrong, but it was beautifully reasoned. A genuine attempt to understand through logic what could yet be tested through experiment. Then came Aristotle, who got closer to the truth. He argued that light wasn't a thing at all. It was a quality and activation of transparency. Light, he said, was the medium between eye and object becoming illuminated, becoming capable of transmitting color and form. In a way, he was grasping towards something we'd only fully understand 2,000 years later. So after the fall of Rome, the torch of scientific inquiry and the study of light itself passed to the Islamic world. While Europe descended into what we call the Dark Ages, the night or the light of knowledge blazed brilliantly across the Middle East and North Africa. In the 11th century, a mathematician named Ibn al-Haytham, known in the West as Al-Hazen, conducted experiments that would revolutionize how we understood vision and light. Using a darkroom, a camera obscura, he proved something revolutionary. The light traveled from objects to our eyes and not the other way around. So he demonstrated with his elegant simplicity. So when you look at the sun and then close your eyes, you will still see its after image. The sun's light, he reasoned, must have entered your eye and affected it. He studied how light behaves when it passes through different materials, how it reflects off surfaces, how it just blends. So he wrote the book of Optics, a 7-volume masterwork that would influence scientists for centuries to come. This wasn't just theorizing. This was a scientific method being born right there in Cairo, using light as a subject of study. And so, as Europe awakened from its medieval slumber, artists and scientists began to rediscover and build upon the knowledge of the accidents or the ancients and the insight of Islamic scholars. Leonardo da Vinci studied light obsessively, filling notebooks with observations about how it played across surfaces, how it created shadow and form, how it could be captured in paint and architecture. Johannes Kepler, better known for his laws of planetary motion, made crucial advances in understanding optics. He explained how lenses work, how the eye functions as a camera, and how eyeglasses could correct vision. Light was becoming less mystical and more mathematical. But the real revolution was about to begin, sparked by a man conducting experiment during a plague. In 1666, Cambridge University closed because of the bubonic plague, a young student named Isaac Newton retreated to his family home in Woolsthorpe. In a darkened room, he conducted an experiment that would fundamentally change our understanding of light. He took a glass of prism and let a thin beam of sunlight pass through it. The white light spread into a rainbow of colors on the opposite wall. This much had been known before. It was why rainbows appeared after storms. But here's what Newton did differently. He took a second prism and recombined those colors back into white light. Now this proved something profound. White light wasn't pure, it was a mixture, and color wasn't something added to light by passing through glass. Color was a steady, already there. It was hidden within what appeared to be simple white sunlight. The rainbow contained the truth about white light that had been invisible all along. So Newton went further. He proposed that light was made of particles, tiny corpuscles that traveled in straight lines from luminous sources. This explained reflection, shadows, the sharp beams of sunlight streaming through windows. It made intuitive sense. Light behaved like a stream of bullets bouncing off surfaces blocked by objects. But there was a problem brewing. Around the same time, a Dutch scientist named Christian Huygens was proposing something different. He suggested the light behaved not like particles but like waves, ripples spreading through an invisible medium, the way sound travels through air or ripples spread across a pond. So this explained things that Newton's particle theory struggled with. It explained why light could bend around corners ever so slightly. It explained patterns of interferences that particles shouldn't create. But Newton was Newton, arguably the most influential scientist who ever lived, and his authority carried the day. So for over a century, the particle theory of light dominated everything. But in 1801, Young conducted what might be the most elegant experiment in the history of physics. He took a light source and passed it through two narrow slits onto a screen. If light were made of particles, you'd expect to see two bright lines on the screen corresponding to the two slits. Instead, Young saw alternating bands of light and dark, an interference pattern, exactly like the pattern you get when two sets of ripples cross on water. Where the waves align, they reinforced each other, creating brightness where they cancelled out. There was darkness and light was a wave. The evidence was undeniable. The electromagnetic revolution, as the 19th century progressed, scientists were making strange discoveries about electricity and magnetism. They seemed to be connected somehow. A moving magnet could create electrical currents, and electrical currents could create a magnetic field. But how? Well, in the 1860s, a Scottish physicist named James Clerk Maxwell sat down with all the known equations about electricity and magnetism. He was doing what theoretical physicists could do, looking for patterns for elegant mathematical relationships that might reveal deeper truths. So when he combined the equations just right, they predicted something that nobody had asked for: waves. Electromagnetic waves. Waves that could propagate through space, carrying energy, oscillating with electric and magnetic fields perpendicular to each other. Maxwell calculated the speed of these theoretical waves. The number he got was 186,000 miles per second. Light, Maxwell realized, wasn't just a wave. It was an electromagnetic wave. It was the same phenomenon as electricity and magnetism, just oscillating at an incredibly high frequency. Everything fell into place. Light was unified with these other forces of nature, and it was one of the most profound insights in the history of science, revealing a hidden truth or unity in the fabric of reality. So as the 20th century dawned, physicists felt confident they had figured out light. It was a wave. Maxwell's equations described it perfectly. The universe even made it make more sense. So it started with a simple question: why do hot objects glow? A hot piece of iron glows red, then orange, then white as it gets hotter. Why? Classical wave theory predicted that hot objects should emit infinite amounts of ultraviolet radiation. This was called the ultraviolet catastrophe, and it was clearly wrong. We don't get vaporized by infinite radiation every time we turn on a stove. So in 1900, a German physicist named Max Planck found a solution, but only by making a strange assumption. He proposed that light could only be emitted or absorbed in discrete chunks, little packets of energy that he called quanta. It was just a mathematical trick. He thought to make the equations work, but it was real. 5 years later, Albert Einstein took Planck's idea seriously. He explained the photoelectric effect, the way light knocks electrons off metal surfaces. By proposing that light actually travels in these quantum packets, he called them photons. Light wasn't just a wave after all. It was also a particle. Wait, both? How could light be both a wave and a particle? Okay, I think this is the part where I say welcome to quantum mechanics, where reality stops making common sense and becomes far more interesting. The early 20th century descended into a kind of glorious confusion. Every experiment confirmed it. Light behaves like a wave in some circumstances and like a particle in others. So in Young's double slit experiment, single photons still create interference patterns as if each photon somehow passes through both slits and interferes with itself. But Niels Bohr proposed a solution. Complementarily, wave and particle aren't contradictory. They are complementary descriptions of the same reality. Light is fundamentally something beyond our everyday categories. It's quantum, and our classical intuitions simply don't apply. Well, this wasn't philosophy, it just worked. The quantum theory of light explained everything: how atoms emit and absorb light, how lasers work, how the sun shines, how plants perform photosynthesis. We entered an age where we could manipulate light with unprecedented precision. Today, light has become our most powerful tool and our deepest mystery continuing to unfold. We've bent light so much so that even around subject or object to create invisibility cloaks. We've slowed it down to nearly stop. We've learned to trap it, twist it, split angle photons into entangled pairs that remain mysteriously connected across vast distances. We've used light to measure the most precise measurements in history. So today, I hope you learned something about the history of light. Next week, we'll be looking at the history of light in Africa. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and, of course, share this video, comment, and let us also know what you'd like us to talk about. See you next time. I am Chinatu Oji.